Costco is an American brand through and through, but you might be wondering, how does Costco in Scotland compare to the expectations of an American? Today, we're going to find out.
Oh! I'm gonna pop some tags, only got $20 in my pocket. I'm hunting, looking for a come up. This is f***ing awesome.
Costco has over 130 million members worldwide. And when you think about it, it's kind of weird that basically a glorified Walmart or Asda has such a cult following. In the United States, people shop at Costco because they have cheap gas, cheap food, and loads of free samples. But what's it like here in Scotland? My name is Peter, and I'm an American who's lived in Scotland for a little over 4 years now. I don't go to Costco super often because it's about an hour's drive away from me, but today I'm taking you with. Now, the first and most important part of any trip to Costco is coffee because, like I said, it's an hour away, and I'm not making that drive without coffee. Also, when I say I'm taking you with me, I won't be filming the entire video inside of Costco or here in my car. Costco can be very busy and claustrophobic most of the time that I've been there. And I'm not going to be getting in everybody's way with filming all the talking points in the actual building. Most of the talking points will be just me from scenic locations. And through the magic of editing, I will probably change clothes a couple times because I highly doubt I will be able to film this entire video in one day. Anyways, let's continue. Back where I lived in Oklahoma, they usually have ridiculously cheap gas pricing to go with their ridiculously gas-guzzling vehicles. And one of the major benefits of having a Costco membership is access to their discounted fuel. I looked it up, and as of right now, the Costco in Tulsa, Oklahoma is charging $2.58 for a gallon of regular gas, whereas the Quick Trip 2 miles down the road charges $2.73. When you consider the amount of petrol that the average American burns through every year, even if you never shop in the actual store, after you consider the cost of your membership, you will still probably save hundreds of dollars a year by having a membership card just for the fuel. Here in Scotland, of course, they sell petrol by the litre, and today in Glasgow, it is £1.32 per litre for regular petrol, and the Tesco across the street is £1.35. Depending on how close to Costco you live, this could also save you a ton of money per year in petrol or diesel costs. Where I live specifically, since it's so far away, I of course would not come here just to get petrol, but every time I come to Costco, or if for some reason I am close by, I always stop and fill up. Costco is one of the very few shops in the world that makes you pay money just to be able to shop there. In the United States, the only thing you need to become a Costco member is a Pulse and the $65 standard or $130 a year executive membership fee. Here in Scotland, they do things a little bit differently. Anyone can get an online-only membership, but you can't use it in store, and you also can't use it to get fuel. Later on in the video, I'll talk about why this option will also make you pay a lot more money for the actual items that you buy compared to the same thing if you were to buy them in the store. Also, when I originally started planning this video, it was only £15 a year for the online membership, but now as of March 2025, it looks like they have raised the prices significantly, where the online membership is the same price as the standard in-store membership. If you want to breathe the air inside of the Costco warehouse or make Gordon Ramsay jealous by devouring one of their exquisite £1.50 hot dogs, you're going to have to pay anywhere from about £30 to £84 per year and go through a little bit of discrimination. Let me explain. In Scotland, Costco is classified as a wholesaler, which means that at least 70% of their business has to go to other businesses. I'm not an expert on this, but this potentially also gives them a different, slightly less stringent planning permission class, which would let them build their stores in places where normal retailers might find it harder to build and maybe pay less on their lease for the land. It could also affect their business tax rates, but if you're more knowledgeable on the specifics, let me know in the comments. investments. Costco has to make sure that no more than 30% of their sales go to the general public, so they have to restrict who can shop there. Since they obviously can't discriminate by age or gender, they have chosen to filter by occupation in order to meet these requirements. If you want to get a trade membership, you have to give them actual proof of your business, like your VAT registration or any business licenses. And if you want a personal membership, you have to work on one of their very specific lists of occupations, like local government, fire and rescue services, or finance. Now that I think about it, is this the real reason behind that viral song last year about how women want a man in finance? When I lived in Oklahoma, I usually shopped at Sam's Club, which is basically Walmart or Asda's version of Costco, but they don't exist here in Europe. At the time that I moved here, I wouldn't have been eligible for a local Costco membership, but once you have a Costco card, it is valid worldwide. So right before I moved, I went into the fairly new Costco in Tulsa and took out a brand new membership just so I could bring it over here with me. So if you are an American about to move over to Scotland, if you don't have a Costco membership, it might be a good idea to get a new one, because even though you might not end up using it all that often, once you're here, if you're not working with one of those professions, it's going to be hard to get a Costco membership. Many aspects of shops here in Scotland are completely different to the United States, but the instant you show up, you can clearly see its American influence. The parking lot is massive and the spaces are super wide compared to most other spaces here in Scotland. The carts, or as you would call them here, trolleys, are gigantic by Scottish standards, and the best bit is that they are American style and only have 2 swivel wheels instead of the vast majority of trolleys here where all 4 wheels swivel. There are other differences too. Like in the US, the coffee aisle has a grinder, so you can buy your beans and grind them before you leave. Here, they don't have that. A lot of brands or food that you would look for as an American just don't exist here. But to be fair, if you went to Costco in the US, they would probably have 0 products from Scotland. Sadly, root beer is missing. Root beer is not popular at all in Scotland, and most places, including Costco, have something called ginger beer, which is what most people here think root beer tastes like. The few times that you might find something here that is labeled as root beer, it's not. It still tastes like ginger. And root beer is made from sassafras, not ginger. But we are in luck because Amazon Prime has Canadian A&W root beer that's imported, and it tastes like the real thing. While they might not have proper root beer, they do have one thing that is so rare in the United States that most Americans have never even heard about it. Some might say that it's the real reason the Romans never conquered Scotland, and that one sip could give you enough strength to wrestle a Highland coup. Some might say that it's the only drink with its own gravitational pull, and that it once won a staring contest with the sun. We might disagree on how to describe what it tastes like, but it's called Iron Brew. Silly Americans think they're special with Dr. Pepper that only has 23 flavors. Well, we do things a little bit better here in Scotland, and this has 32 flavors. Scotland is the only country in the world where Coca-Cola is not the #1 best-selling fizzy drink, because we have Iron Brew. Now at this point, I was going to say that Costco Glasgow, while it's gigantic by Scottish standards, it is small compared to the United States. But I looked it up, and the Costco in Tulsa is 148,000 square feet, while the Costco in Glasgow is about 150,000 square feet. So at this point, I do have to say it's roughly the same size, but it feels smaller. I don't know if it's just the way it's laid out, or if I'm just going a bit off my head. There's a massive difference in shopping culture here in Scotland compared to the United States. 2 major factors to consider are storage space and food shelf life. American kitchens are usually much bigger with a lot more storage space, and their refrigerators are absolutely gigantic. The average American refrigerator has a storage space of about 500 liters, whereas the average Scottish refrigerator is about 200 to 300 liters. You can get American style refrigerators here, but for most people, good luck getting it to fit through your front door, let alone into your kitchen. Another big difference is the shelf life of your food and how often you need to go shopping. A large percentage, if not most, American food is actually banned in all of the EU and the UK because of all of the preservatives and random other chemicals that they add into their food. Chicken is chlorinated, bread is full of sugar and yogamat chemicals, and most American chocolate can't even be legally called chocolate here in Europe because it's not chocolate. When I lived in Oklahoma, I could fairly easily do my shopping once a week or every 1.5 to 2 weeks because everything lasted so long and I had so much room to store it. Milk in the States would last 1 to 2 weeks before it went off, whereas here it's about 3 to 4 days. Bread can last 1 to 3 weeks on the counter in the States, whereas here it's more like 1 to 3 days. If you put your bread in the refrigerator, it'll probably last you about a week, but then you're giving up a valuable real estate in your fridge. While of course there are plenty of exceptions to this, I would say that the average Scot probably doesn't want to or can't buy their food at the levels of bulk that you would get at Costco. There are plenty of things that are cheaper per liter or kilo at Costco, but usually it's just the big name brand items. The big difference that you'll see at Costco is the quality of the store brand items compared to equivalent store brand items at other shops. There are also certain things that are just impossible or really hard to find elsewhere. The price of eggs is also a really big talking point in the States right now, and here in Glasgow it is currently £8.49 for a box of 60 eggs. I think you could pay more than that for just a dozen eggs in the States, but I'm just feeding myself and 2 5-year-olds, so it would be a bit ridiculous if I were to buy a box of 60 fresh eggs. This is another one of those things where you're not really saving money by buying in bulk, because at Lidl, a carton of 10 eggs is £1.33. Speaking of prices, I'm going to follow up on what I said earlier about how online membership will cost you way more money. While you can order things through their website or app for home delivery, a huge portion of the products at Costco are only available in store. And for the things that are available for home delivery, every single item that I looked at was at least £1.50 more than the equivalent in store. And if you add that to the fact that you're paying $5.99 delivery fee per order, if you're ordering online, it will eat up any kind of bulk savings that you're getting. If you want me to do a full video just breaking down the prices between Costco in Scotland versus the United States, or maybe a video comparing Costco to normal stores like Asda or Lidl, let me know in the comments that you're interested. And maybe give me 1 or 2 items that you would buy and would like to see compared. I could probably spend an hour or more just comparing prices for items, but I'm trying to keep this video from being insanely long, so I'm only going to talk about a few items that I buy at Costco regularly and why. Because even though I'm always on a strict budget, I don't think that I buy anything there strictly based on price. It's usually for convenience or the price to quality ratio. The top of my list has to be toilet paper. It costs $19.18 for a pack of 40 rolls or $23.89 with a minimum purchase of 2 if you're ordering them online. I could get toilet paper for slightly cheaper at Lidl or Asda, but I don't like wiping with sandpaper, so I go with Costco because it's great quality without being crazy expensive. Next, I buy bin liners. They're currently out of stock both in store and online, so I couldn't get up-to-date pricing, but whenever I've looked in other shops, I can't really find anything that is as good quality as these are. I've tried a mixture of the really cheap and some of the more expensive heavy-duty bin liners from places like Asda and Lidl, and usually they're still too thin and rip too easily. So while these bin liners are technically a little bit more expensive, it's really not that bad, and I only really have to buy bin liners once a year anyways, so I'm okay with that kind of an expense. Bread and butter pickles are kind of hard to find here in Scotland, so I usually get these ones, which are, I believe they're imported from Canada, and they're really good. I don't get this very often because it usually goes bad by the time I can finish it, but if you're looking for salsa, this is the only good salsa that I have found in all of Scotland. So, how does Costco in Scotland compare to the expectations of an American? The answer to that is a little bit more in-depth than just better or worse. When I lived in Oklahoma, I bought in bulk primarily to save both time and money. But shopping at Costco in Scotland often cost me more time and more money than the alternatives. Which is ironic because even the expensive items at Costco are still probably cheaper than their American equivalent would be, but that's really just a testament to the difference in cost of living. You could try to make a direct comparison and just complain about things like the fact that they barely have any free samples and that when they do sell ranch, it's disgusting, but you'd be completely missing the point. Even though they have the same name and branding in both countries, you can't expect the shopping experience to be identical. The US and Scotland are two vastly different countries, and if you're expecting the exact same experience and product availability, you are going to be disappointed. I hope this isn't too much of an anticlimactic ending to the video, but I really have to say that I like both of them equally. Even though my house has far fewer bulk buy items here in Scotland compared to back in the US, there are many factors outside of the actual store that have contributed to that. And that's why I think trying to directly compare them for a clear winner is a bit of a moot point. If you're an American living in Scotland, let me know in the comments if Costco lives up to your expectations and if maybe the types or the amount of things that you buy has changed drastically since you moved over here. Thanks for sticking around to the end of this video. I tried to have a bit of fun with it, and if you enjoyed that, you might like this video where I talk about a few things that you might not have realized were discovered or invented here in Scotland. That's it for today. I will see you next time.
Is that your grandma's coat?